Living on a minimum wage can be emotionally and physically demanding, especially the psychological challenges included. So, one of the most challenging parts of living in a minimum wage is having insufficient income. So, minimum wage jobs often do not provide enough income over basic living expenses. As you can see on news media and TV, a lot of people are having a hard time, especially most Americans. A lot of news media outlets talk about it, but they don't really provide any solutions. And deep dive in society, there is many other problems that need to be addressed. So in many cases, even working at a full-time at a minimum wage may not be enough to afford housing, food, transportation, you got healthcare, and other necessities. You may have rent, you gotta have insurance. So it really depends how much you need to spend. For example, California, New York, making minimum wage is not sustainable. So you have to be living back where with your parents, maybe you have to be living with other roommates, and the list goes on to make the needs meet. Now, a lot of minimum wage workers live in subsidized housing, or they live in overcrowded conditions, which are at this point considered homelessness. And not too many people talk about it, unfortunately. So if you look at subsidized housing, living in overcrowded conditions, they also have increased face of risk of homelessness. More than 500,000 people experienced homelessness in America last year. The Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, counted about 582,000 Americans experienced homelessness in 2022. So you think about it, that's about 18 per 10,000 people in the US, up to 2,000 people from 2020. Of course, you have a lot of things to blame. You can blame the pandemic, you can blame like COVID, you can make up every excuse, but at the end, it's mainly looking at government policies. Government policies are one major factor, such as limited access to health care, you got health insurance and medical expenses, that could be a significant burden. You got many minimum wage jobs that do not offer health benefits, and leaving workers without adequate coverage and potentially avoiding unnecessary medical care due to cost. And of course, you can argue that places like Uber, DoorDash do not offer medical expenses. But over there, that's another topic we can dwell through, which is there's another story to it. It is always a half lie and a half truth. And I'll break it down to number 2, which is food insecurity. Now, you don't have food, you're in trouble. So stretching a limited budget to cover groceries can also lead to food security. So when you buy food and you look at inflation, how food's going up in prices, if food goes up in price, then you start cutting into your budget. And there are some individuals and families may rely on food assistance programs or food banks to meet their nutritional needs. Now, going down the list, you're looking at harsh living conditions. Because you live in harsh living conditions, it can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and depression in most cases. Some may even turn to substance abuse and drug abuse as a coping mechanism. So this is not just one problem. This is basically many problems leading one to after another. They all relate to each other at the end. For example, California's drug abuse. You got a lot of people who are on drugs, a lot of people who can't afford housing. They all link together. And at the end, policies really can make a big change, whether or not it can be a lot better than before. Yes, a lot of people are just pointing fingers at each other, but at the end, if something's not getting done, then it's not getting done. It's gonna get worse. If you are an individual that suffers from minimum wage, there are several steps that you could take to improve your financial situation to overcome these difficulties. For example, the one step you could take is to educate yourself about your own personal finance, such as debt management or budgeting. A simple step is to take an easy just to do a Google search to find resources, such as, for example, this channel that can teach you and help you understand personal finance better. Now, understanding is not going to be easy to have a change in your current situation, but as long as you have a plan and determined to work towards your goals, then you will find at least some type of improvement in your situation, whether it's financial, mental, maybe physical. In any case, at the end, you have to make a change. Not making a change would not get you moving. So you have to take your first step through the door. Now, for example, another one that could help out a lot of people is public assistance programs. If you're eligible, the government assistance programs like food stamps, SNAP, or Medicaid or housing assistance to help cover essential expenses. And if you continue looking on, you can access community resources. Local community organizations and food charities often provide support in some type of food banks. You have clothing or utility bill assistance. And don't hesitate to seek help when needed. For example, utility bills, you can call your electric service provider and tell them like what's the situation going on. They might have a plan that you never heard of that can provide relief to your financial burden. Now, after all these steps are taken, the main part is you have to focus on building your own skills and seeking opportunities for career growth. Additional training and education can lead to higher paying jobs in the future, because you can do all these budgeting and management, but at the end, you're still stuck on that income level. You have to raise that income level. Now, keeping your income level the same can only do so much. You have to make changes to raise the income level. For example, starting a new business and finding different ways to improve yourself. I hope you guys learned a lot from this video. Make sure to click the subscribe button down below and a like button, and have a nice day.